Hey, my name is Jess Flowers, and today I want to share with you how to make a really fun and wild recipe using these wild morels. How to make lemon ricotta stuffed and fried morels. So what we're going to be doing is making a nut-free vegan. About 2 ounces of morels, or 69 grams worth, so just a handful, so not a ton, but we're going to be breading and stuffing all of these. Morels, being a wild mushroom, are notorious for having bugs inside of them, and you can kind of see why. There's a lot of little holes, a lot of little crevices for these for the worms to live in. So to make sure that we aren't eating bugs, we're going to soak these mushrooms in salted water for about 20 minutes. We don't want to have them soaking in the water too much because they'll affect the texture, but we really want to make sure that we can get all the dirt out and all those little bugs. Now you're gonna need to rinse out these mushrooms more than what you think. I've rinsed these morels out probably like 7 times, and I've been pouring all of the water into this jar so that way I can dump it outside, and just in hopes that maybe morels might grow in this area, because there's going to be spores inside of the water just because they're coming off of the mushrooms, right? And spores are what grows new mushrooms. Anyways, because I've been pouring them into this jar, whenever I think that it's clean, I keep finding more worms in here. So really just keep going until you're sure that it's totally bug-free. I'm probably going to be giving this a few more rinses, even though it's starting to get clear. It's starting to. It doesn't need to be fully clear, just make sure that it's totally bug-free. Probably 10 more rinses, and I just want to show you this. So after 10 rinses, you can still see there are still some worms. Just for the yuck factor, really rinse this out, because this is literally after 10 rinses and I'm still finding little worms. All right, our morels are now bug-free. We have them all cleaned, so you really just rinse them out until you can see no more bugs, and they're gonna get extra hydrated. So now I'm just going to let them sit out on a nice clean towel and let them dry out a little bit, because we don't want them to be soggy from when we're doing all this. So just gonna let these guys kind of dry out a little. So we're gonna be making our binder by adding 2 tablespoons of flaxseed powder, and you can also use chia seed powder. So really just get like chia seeds or flax seeds and put them in the blender and get them into a powder. Otherwise you can just buy them pre-ground too. Just makes a really great binder. So I'm gonna add a cup of water to the 2 tablespoons, and this will thicken up, and this is what we're gonna be dunking our mushrooms in. 3/4 cup panko breadcrumbs for the breading. All right, and then a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. You can really use whatever flour that you like. It's really just to help coat the mushrooms nicely. So whatever flour that your heart desires will work. All-purpose flour just because it has the most neutral flavor, and it's pretty accessible to find. A teaspoon of, 2 teaspoons of garlic. Just the breading has just a little bit of flavor. My binder to be a little bit thicker, I'm gonna add an extra tablespoon of flaxseed powder. So you're gonna need 3 total tablespoons of flaxseed powder for the 1 cup. Okay, I'm gonna let that sit. So now we are going to make this lemon flavored, and if you don't want to make your own ricotta, just measure out a cup worth of ricotta and then put in half of a lemon in with the ricotta. So I'm going to cut this guy in half. I'm gonna juice this and zest it. So get your zester out. A really fine mesh grater would also do the trick. All right, just because I'm lazy, I'm going to strain out all the lemon juice with like the seeds with the fork, just to kind of pick up, or make sure that none of the seeds actually get in here. All right, now I'm outside. I'm going to harvest some green onions. Green onions, so now I'm just going to chop this up very finely. Green onion finely minced. Just put that in with the ricotta. That a nice little stir. Fun part, we're gonna stuff our mushrooms. So you have a couple of options. You can use a little syringe like this to inject each of these little mushrooms with it. Some of the mushrooms won't even need that just because they have quite a big hole, as you can see right here. But some of these little ones will definitely need an injector. Otherwise, you could stuff it inside of a plastic bag and then cut out the tip and pipe it in that way. I'm going to use this because I like how reusable this is. Fill our syringe. To take our mushrooms and inject. All right, if a little comes out of the tip, it's okay. All right, so we have our morels all stuffed. Now the next step is we're going to take these stuffed morels, I'm gonna dunk it in this water flaxseed mixture and dunk it in the breading. All right, and then just set it aside. And then do this for all of them. All right, now you have a couple of options with these mushrooms. Now we can either deep fry them or you can air fry them. Either way, they're gonna be delicious. They're going to be obviously the most juicy and succulent if we actually deep fry them, where they'll be a little bit healthier if we air fry them. If you air fry them, still try to do a couple sprays of oil on them, just so that way they can stay nice and crispy and they don't dry out too much. I'm getting ready to deep fry these. I think I'm gonna do some of them air fried just so that way you can see what both of them looks like. But I'm gonna be adding a neutral oil. I'm adding grapeseed oil just because it's a good neutral oil. Otherwise use canola oil or vegetable oil, sunflower oil, safflower oil are all great neutral oils that'll work really great for deep frying. So what I'm trying to do is get it so that way there's about like an inch to half an inch of oil, the base. Here, I'll do a close-up so you can see what I'm talking about. But I want it so that way these are pretty submerged in the oil. Air fry some of these mushrooms just so that way we can have like a good side-by-side comparisons. I do think the air fried ones are going to be delicious. So I'm just gonna set them in my air fryer. My air fryer has a little rack like this. I put the breaded and stuffed morels in the air fryer. I'm gonna give it a spray while it's on the rack. This breading is pretty delicate, so that's why I didn't want to add the oil first. 375 for 10 minutes. This is the deep fried ones, and then these are the air fried ones. Side by side, pretty similar. These ones are just a little drier, and they actually ended up slightly crisper. Now to try one of these. The lemon really comes through, but with like the morel flavor, it's so good. All right, that is how to make these stuffed and breaded fried morel mushrooms, which I will totally be making again. I think that they need some kind of dipping sauce, or it needs something spicy, just because I like a little bit of spice, although the lemon is so nice with the taste of these mushrooms. Oh yeah. Anyways, be sure to follow and give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Anyways, thanks guys.